still waters run deep, and there won't always...
They stood in the spotlight. The crowd screamed their name. Records sold in the millions, and Grammy statues went home in point force. Their trophy case.
Whenever he's away.
But somewhere in Nashville, a broke songwriter was sweeping floors, driving a truck, or pitching a demo nobody wanted, while a star turned his words into the biggest hit of the decade. 12 legendary country songs, 12 unforgettable voices, and 12 writers history barely remembers.
Easy for crying, and I'm crazy for...
Number 12, Once a Day, Connie Smith, 1964. Connie Smith didn't just sing heartbreak, she invented a new way to measure it. Once a day, every day, all day long. In August of 1964, a 22-year-old housewife from Ohio walked into RCA Studio B and recorded her very first single.
I'm only crying once a day.
8 weeks later, Once a Day was still sitting at number 1. No woman in country music history had ever done that with a debut single before. Nobody would do it again for almost 50 years, until Taylor Swift finally broke the record in 2012. But Connie Smith didn't write a single word of it.
Every day, all day long.
Songwriter Bill Anderson discovered her at a small talent contest in Columbus, Ohio in 1963. He liked what he heard, encouraged her to try Nashville, and eventually helped get her signed to RCA, on the condition that HE would write her songs. Once a Day wasn't even written with a woman in mind at first. Anderson said he scribbled it out at a four-way stop sign in his car, thinking of it as just another song in his catalog. Then he heard Connie Smith's voice on it, and everything changed. The song became her signature for the rest of her 60-year career. Every festival, every reunion show, every tribute, it's always Once a Day. Anderson went on to write 8 of her next 20 chart singles. In 2021, the recording was inducted into the Library of Congress National Recording Registry. Bill Anderson stood next to names like Gershwin and Irving Berlin, and Connie Smith's voice is the reason his song ever got that far. Number 11, Green, Green Grass of Home, Porter Wagoner, 1965.
My mama and papa.
Porter Wagoner didn't just sing about coming home. He made an entire generation believe he was that man, walking down the lane toward his mama and papa. In the summer of 1965, Wagoner's version of Green, Green Grass of Home climbed to number 4 on the country charts. It was a tender, aching song about a man returning to his childhood home. The old oak tree, his sweetheart Mary, his mama's open arms. Except it's not really about that at all. It's about a man on death row, dreaming his last dream before dawn.
Smile and sweet, it's so good to touch.
The song was written by Nashville songwriter Curly Putman, inspired by a scene from the crime film The Asphalt Jungle. It was first recorded, and completely ignored, by singer Johnny Durrell earlier that same year.
Of gold and lips like cherries, it's good to touch.
Wagoner's version was the one that finally broke through, hitting the top 5 and putting Putman's name on the map as a serious Nashville writer. But here's the part almost nobody remembers. Within 18 months, rocker turned country singer Jerry Lee Lewis cut his own version, and a Welsh pop singer named Tom Jones heard IT.
Then I awake and look around me at these 4.
Jones took Green, Green Grass of Home to number 1 in the UK for 7 weeks and turned it into a worldwide phenomenon, selling over 1 million copies. Porter Wagoner had the first hit. Curly Putman wrote the only song. But ask most people today who sings Green, Green Grass of Home, and they won't say Porter Wagoner, they'll say Tom Jones. Putman went on to write Divorce and He Stopped Loving Her Today. 2 more country classics, where the writer's name would once again fade behind the stars.
Looks the same as a step down.
Number 10, Rose Garden, Lynn Anderson, 1970.
When it's sweet talking, you could make.
Lynn Anderson didn't just sing, "I Never Promised You a Rose Garden." She turned it into one of the biggest crossover hits in country music history, and she had to fight her own husband to record it. Rose Garden was written by Joe South, the same Georgia songwriter behind Games People Play and Hush.
It come true, I would give you the world right now on a silver.
He wrote it from a man's point of view. Lines about giving a woman big diamond rings, a man's promise, a man's voice. Billy Joe Royal recorded the original version in 1967. It barely made a ripple. When Lynn Anderson brought the song to her husband and producer, Glenn Sutton, he flatly refused. He didn't think a love song written for a man could work, coming from a woman's mouth. Anderson pushed back. She believed in it. Eventually, with a little leftover studio time and nothing to lose, Sutton let her cut it. Just as an album filler track, nothing more.
Someone there to pull you out. And
Then Columbia executive Clive Davis heard it. He knew immediately it needed to be a single. Released in October 1970, Rose Garden spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the country chart, hit number 3 on the Hot 100, and went to number 1 in TEN different countries.
for your leap, still waters run deep, and there won't always be.
It made Lynn Anderson the first female country artist ever to have a platinum album. She won the Grammy. Joe South got 2 Grammy nominations of his own for writing it. But it's Anderson's voice and Anderson's stubbornness that turned a man's forgotten B-side into a global anthem.
I beg your pardon.
If you're locked into this one, most people scrolling past these songs have no idea what it took to make them. We digs that history back up, one record at a time. The subscribe button costs nothing, and it means you won't miss the next one.
Number 9, Behind Closed Doors, Charlie Rich, 1973.
Oh, don't they love to talk?
Charlie Rich didn't just sing about a secret between two people. He turned a phrase ripped straight from a national political scandal into one of the sexiest, most awarded songs in country music history.
Oh, no one knows what goes on behind.
Songwriter Kenny Odell had carried a guitar riff around in his head for years, along with a title he liked, Behind Closed Doors. Where did the phrase come from? The Watergate hearings, where committees kept meeting in private, closed-door sessions, all over the news in 1972 and 73.
To say, I want you.
Odell built a love song around a political catchphrase, and it worked almost too well. Some radio stations initially refused to play it, calling the lyrics too suggestive for daytime airplay. It didn't matter. The song became unstoppable anyway. Behind Closed Doors gave Charlie Rich his first ever number 1 country hit, went platinum, and swept both the CMA and ACM awards for Song of the Year and Single of the Year in 1973. Here's the twist. At the CMA Awards, the Song of the Year trophy goes directly to the writer, not the singer. So while Charlie Rich became a superstar overnight, nicknamed the Silver Fox, it was Kenny Odell standing there with the songwriting trophy, the man whose scandal-inspired title turned into the song that finally made Charlie Rich a household name after 13 years of trying.
Smile.
Number 8, Divorce, Tammy Wynette, 1968.
Yes, you are, we are my.
Tammy Wynette didn't just sing about a marriage falling apart. She spelled it out letter by letter and turned heartbreak into one of the most instantly recognizable song titles in American music. The idea came from songwriter Bobby Braddock, who first tried it as a song called I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U, about parents spelling out words so their kids couldn't understand. That version went nowhere. Braddock kept the idea but couldn't crack the execution, until he brought it to fellow songwriter Curly Putman, the same man who'd written Green, Green Grass of Home. Putman heard Braddock's melody and told him bluntly it sounded too cheerful, like a soap commercial jingle. Putman rewrote it with his own low, mournful voice in mind, and suddenly the words divorce carried real devastation instead of a catchy gimmick. Braddock insisted Putman take co-writing credit for the fix, even though Putman initially didn't want it. The finished song sat dormant for months before Braddock and Putman personally delivered it to producer Billy Sherrill's office. Tammy Wynette recorded it in March 1968.
Oh, I wish that we could stop this day.
By June, it was her fourth #1 hit. And to this day, most people who hum the chorus have no idea it took 2 men, 1 failed draft, and a rewritten melody to make Tammy Wynette's signature heartbreak sound so real.
We'll be going away.
Number 7. Before the Next Teardrop Falls, Freddie Fender, 1975.
That matters most of all.
Freddie Fender didn't just sing a country love song. He revived one that had already failed 31 separate times before he ever touched it. Before the Next Teardrop Falls was written back in 1967 by Vivian Keith and Ben Peters at a small Nashville publishing house. Keith actually suggested the title to Peters one evening, and he finished writing the song that same night.
Then I wish you both.
The first recording, by singer Dwayne D. in 1968, barely cracked the charts before D got drafted into military service and his single died on the vine. 31 more artists tried it after him. Jerry Lee Lewis, Linda Martell, Dottie West, all forgettable versions. Then producer Huey Moe brought instrumental tracks to a Tex-Mex singer named Freddie Fender, a man who'd already survived a 3-year prison sentence for marijuana possession and years of regional obscurity. Fender wasn't even interested in doing a country song. He agreed just to get it over with, added a Spanish-language verse that reflected his own Tejano roots, and walked away. The song debuted at number 96 on the country chart, the worst debut ever for a future #1 record. Then, it kept climbing. By March 1975, it was #1 on both the country and pop charts, one of only 6 songs to do that all year. Vivian Keith and Ben Peters had written the song 8 years earlier and watched it fail 31 times. Freddie Fender needed 1 Spanish verse and a second chance to finally make it a classic.
That you cry. And if
Number 6, Delta Dawn, Tanya Tucker, 1972. Tanya Tucker didn't just sing about a faded Southern belle waiting for a man who never came back. At 13 years old, she turned another writer's private grief into a top 10 hit. And she wasn't even the first star to try. Delta Dawn was written by Alex Harvey and Larry Collins after Harvey experienced what he described as a vision of his late mother, sitting calmly in a rocking chair, laughing. Harvey had carried guilt over her death for 10 years. That night, he woke Collins up, and the two of them finished the entire song in 20 minutes. Harvey recorded it himself first, in 1971. It went nowhere.
To take you to his mansion in the...
Then a young, unknown singer named Bette Midler started performing it live, and one night, she sang it on The Tonight Show. Producer Billy Sherrill happened to be watching. He'd wanted to sign Midler, discovered she was already taken, and instead brought the song to a 13-year-old he was working with, Tanya Tucker. Her raw, impossibly mature voice made Delta Dawn a top 10 country and pop crossover hit in 1972, before she was even old enough to drive. The story doesn't end there. The following year, Helen Reddy recorded her own version and took it all the way to #1 on the pop charts. So by 1973, 3 different women, Midler, Tucker, and Reddy, had all had hits with the same 20-minute song, while Alex Harvey, the man who wrote it as an apology to his mother, watched from the background as 3 different careers were built on his grief. Number 5. Harper Valley PTA, Jeannie C. Riley, 1968.
From the Harper Valley PTA.
Jeannie C. Riley didn't just sing about small-town hypocrisy. She became the first woman in music history to hit number 1 on both the pop and country charts with the same single, a song written for another singer entirely.
It was signed by the secretary, Harper Valley PTA.
Songwriter Tom T. Hall wrote Harper Valley PTA after being asked by country singer Margie Singleton to write something similar to Bobby Gentry's smash, Ode to Billy Joe. Hall drove past a real elementary school in Bellevue, Tennessee, Harpeth Valley, and borrowed the name for a completely fictional story, loosely inspired by a woman he remembered from his childhood in Olive Hill, Kentucky, who was harshly judged by her small town for the way she lived. Margie Singleton recorded it first. Almost nobody noticed.
Way too high. It's reported.
Jeannie C. Riley wasn't even a professional singer at that point. She was working as a secretary in Nashville. She heard the song, cut a demo, and released it through a small independent label in August 1968. Within weeks, Harper Valley PTA was number 1 on the Hot 100, number 1 on the country chart, and eventually sold over 6 million copies.
Bobby Taylor sitting there, and 7 times he's asked me for a date.
It won Riley a Grammy and made Tom T. Hall a star songwriter almost overnight. But Riley herself never had another major hit. One song, one secretary-turned-superstar, and a small Tennessee elementary school's name immortalized forever.
Mr. Baker, can you tell us why your secretary had to leave this town?
Number 4. Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town, Kenny Rogers and the First Edition, 1969.
Paralyzed.
Kenny Rogers didn't just sing a protest song disguised as a heartbreak ballad. He turned a childhood memory that belonged to somebody else entirely into one of the most controversial hits of the Vietnam era. Songwriter Mel Tillis said the inspiration came from his own childhood in Pahokee, Florida, where a wounded World War II veteran lived behind his family's house with a wife who would dress up and leave him alone most nights. Tillis wrote Ruby around that image years later, and the song had quite a journey before Kenny Rogers ever touched it.
I still need some company.
Waylon Jennings recorded it first, in 1966. Johnny Darrell had a modest hit with it the following year. Even Mel Tillis himself put his own version on an album. Then, in 1969, Kenny Rogers and the First Edition recorded the version that changed everything. The timing was explosive.
But it won't be long, I've heard them say, until I'm not around.
With the Vietnam War raging and the lyric referencing that crazy Asian war, audiences immediately assumed the song was about a paralyzed Vietnam vet, even though Tillis maintained he wrote it about World War II. Rogers performed it with an upbeat, almost jovial delivery that some veterans and critics found disrespectful given the subject matter. The controversy only fueled the fire. Ruby hit number 6 on the Hot 100 and became the song that officially launched Kenny Rogers from rock-pop obscurity into the country legend we know today, built entirely on Mel Tillis's memory of a wounded neighbor from his childhood. Number 3. Luckenbach, Texas, Waylon Jennings, 1977. Waylon Jennings didn't just sing about escaping to a tiny Texas town with Willie Nelson and the boys. He turned it into his signature anthem, a song he openly hated. Luckenbach, Texas was written by Chips Moman. Jennings' own producer and keyboard player Bobby Emmons. Here's the strange part. Neither writer, and not even Waylon Jennings himself, had ever actually set foot in the real town of Luckenbach when the song was recorded in January 1977.
Boots and faded jeans and go away.
Moman basically talked Jennings into cutting it by telling him he'd already promised the song to somebody else, a classic bit of Nashville pressure. Jennings resented having to sing his own name in the third person, right there in the chorus. He later said flatly, "I knew it was a hit song. even though I didn't like it, and still don't. His own son Shooter later confirmed Waylon simply didn't like the ego of it. During the session, Willie Nelson wasn't even scheduled to be there. He just dropped by unannounced and ended up singing on the track anyway, cementing the Waylon and Willie mythology in real time. Luckenbach, Texas became Waylon Jennings' biggest and highest charting single ever, turned a sleepy Texas town with a population of 3 into a bucket list tourist destination, and became one of the defining songs of the entire outlaw country movement, all from 2 men who'd never been there, about an artist who couldn't stand performing it. Number 2, Sunday Morning Coming Down, Johnny Cash, 1970.
Feel alone. And
Johnny Cash didn't just sing about the loneliest kind of Sunday. He staked his reputation on defending someone else's words, live, on national television, against network censors who wanted him to change them.
And listen to the song they were singing.
The song was written by Kris Kristofferson, a Rhodes Scholar, a former Army captain, a man who'd turned down a teaching post at West Point to chase songwriting in Nashville instead. While he waited for his break, Kristofferson worked as a janitor at Columbia Recording Studios, sweeping floors in the same building where Johnny Cash recorded.
On a Sunday morning sidewalk.
The song was first cut by pop singer Ray Stevens in 1969 and barely dented the charts. Cash heard it, and he knew immediately it was something different. When Cash performed Sunday Morning Coming Down live on his own ABC television show in 1970, network censors demanded he change the lyric, "Wishing Lord that I was stoned," to "Wishing Lord that I was home." Cash refused.
There's nothing short of dying.
He sang it exactly as Kristofferson wrote it, and even leaned into the word "stoned" as he sang it, daring the network to cut his broadcast. They didn't. The performance became legendary. Cash's recording hit #1 on the country chart, and Kristofferson took home the CMA Award for Song of the Year in 1970, just months after he was still emptying trash cans for a paycheck. Kristofferson later said that single song was the reason he never had to work for a living again. Johnny Cash gave him the stage, but it was Kristofferson's own life, his own bottom, poured directly into every line.
And it echoed through the canyon like a...
Number 1, Crazy, Patsy Cline, 1961. Patsy Cline didn't just sing Crazy. She took a song that almost nobody wanted, from a songwriter almost nobody had heard of, and turned it into the most iconic country ballad ever recorded. One that still tops greatest songs of all time lists over 60 years later. In 1961, Willie Nelson was broke. Not struggling artist broke, actually broke, trying to sell songs door to door in Nashville for grocery money. He'd already written Crazy, originally titled Stupid, and tried pitching it to other singers first. Nobody wanted it.
Oh, crazy.
Nelson finally got it in front of Patsy Cline's producer, Owen Bradley, through songwriter Hank Cochran, and Bradley immediately thought it could work for Cline. There was just one problem. Patsy Cline hated it.
Wandering.
Accounts differ on exactly why. Some say her husband, Charlie Dick, had already played Nelson's demo so many times around the house that she was sick of it before she even properly listened. Others say she simply didn't like Nelson's strange, off-the-beat phrasing. What's certain is this: Cline had just survived a horrific car accident that nearly killed her, was still recovering from serious injuries, and was not in the mood for a fragile, aching torch song about heartbreak.
Easy for loving you.
Producer Owen Bradley reworked the arrangement into a slower, more traditional ballad that finally suited Cline's voice. On August 21, 1961, she recorded it and created what would become her signature song and one of the most licensed, covered, and recognized recordings in American music history. Crazy saved Willie Nelson's career and gave him the reputation that eventually made him a superstar in his own right.
And then someday you'd leave.
And it saved Patsy Cline's too, turning a singer who'd only charted once into a name that would outlive her tragically by decades. One broke songwriter, one reluctant singer, one song that neither of them wanted to make, and neither career ever recovered from how big it became.
And crazy for crying, and I'm